And today's workshop is going to be about composition and some other factors for how to make your art fabulous, how to make it look good, how to evaluate it. If you painted something and you're in that ugly stage and you want to evaluate it before moving along to be sure that you're balancing things in the right way. And we'll talk about the elements of design and how you might effectuate that kind of balance as we go. Now, as you can hear, I'm going to be needing, as I said on Instagram, Ricola and a prayer, right? So I have my big bag of Ricola here that I'll be popping while we're doing the workshop, just to be sure that I can still talk. All right. Usually I will show you at the beginning of the workshop if there was any artwork from the last workshop that I finished, or if there was any new artwork that I did this week. Well, I've been in bed for about a week. So I did finish creating a greeting card out of an item that I've had sitting around my studio. And I'm like, you know what? I need to go ahead and make that into a greeting card. So when we get to the auction part of the show, this is a new greeting card out of a watercolor, 3 feathers, and it's from a workshop that I did about masking fluid to mask off areas and then come back in with watercolor. And after the watercolor is dried, remove the masking tape and reveal these cool designs that were underneath there. So that piece will be available at the end of the show when I start the auction. The auction will not be for very long tonight because, as you can hear, my voice is like, so we'll see how long it will take me this evening. Okay, so let me look around here and see. Oh, another thing this past week, if you were watching my social media, you saw that a dear friend sent me a set of Kuretake. That's the brand, Kuretake Japanese watercolors. And this is the set called the Art Nouveau color set. Color set number 2 for Gansai Tambi from Kuretake. And I have an article, I would say 80% written, about my initial play with these. So that's about all I could do this past week, was play with those. And what I did was I created some, of course, bunches of swatches. And so these are some of the swatches here, as well as the little rectangular swatches that I put in my my notebook. And those I will be giving you my feedback in my article. And once the article is up on my website, then I will go ahead and post that on my social media that the article is ready for you to go read and find out my insight about these colors. I will tell you that I love the colors, love them, love working with them, but there are some unique things about Japanese watercolors that are not the same as our modern regular watercolors. So, oh, there we go. Justice Scourge over on and Adrian's wife. How are you today? Aw, a bunch of folks over on YouTube. Welcome in, welcome in. What's my favorite art piece? I think you've asked that before, and I have many favorite art pieces. I will tell you that on the wall behind me here, this art piece, and I'm going to bring you up closer so that you can see. This one is called The Clock Tower, and I did that piece in what's called a quick draw. So a quick draw is a challenge. It's a challenge where, in this particular case, I was outside with a whole bunch of other artists, and it was with the Broward Art Guild, and so it was timed. It was you had 2 hours to create a painting, and then give it a little bit of time to dry, and then it was there was a dinner and an evaluation afterwards. And so this piece, which is the Clock Tower in mixed media, won first place. So I'm kind of partial toward this piece because it won first place in that show. And let me bring you a little bit closer so you can see some of the details. There's actually fabric right here that's incorporated into it. I also use the fabric as a stencil in some of the other areas to tie it together because there's a pattern within the fabric. The clock tower you can see here has the clock face is collage, and it actually, some of what we're going to be talking today is elements of design. And so what you might notice here is we've got a big element over here on one side, and then I had to bring something in over on the other side here to offset it and create balance within the painting. So that's part of what we'll be talking about today is how to create balance and what are some of the elements that you can look at and think about when you're creating your artwork. Now, there are also others. Can I draw you? I'm looking for random people to draw. Well, as we do the workshop, feel free to draw me. As soon as I'm done with some of the initial descriptions, Jerry, what happens is I go over top of the table and you won't see my face anymore. So you might want to do a listen to me. You might want to do a screen grab if you want to take a look at my beautiful face here, which is very well rested since I've done nothing but being in bed for a week. Hey, Gabriel Lee Arts, welcome in, welcome in. And Jose asks, what is this? Jose, this is an art lesson, and it's going to be about the elements of design and creating balance in your artwork and critical ways for you to look at your artwork in order to see what's working and what's not working. As artists, we always get to a point in our work where we go, there's something wrong. So you can fall back on these elements of design in order to decide maybe what your next move is to try to move out of that ugly phase and into the, oh, that was gorgeous and now I'm done phase. And then also over here behind me, this piece has, it's actually called fluorescent black. And the outside of it here, so this is very much a geometric or rectangular type presentation here. And underneath is we've got pink and yellow fluorescent colors. And then in the middle, we've got texture. So this black is very much texturized. It's a whole bunch of sand medium, black sand medium. And then so that it's called fluorescent black. This part's very textured where the sand is, and this part has resin over top of it, so it's very smooth. So I'm playing here not only with design elements in terms of shapes, but I'm also playing with rough versus smooth surfaces as well. So that's why I pulled that one out. And Gabriel Lee Art says, how are you? I was saying earlier, sorry about that. Hello, you're drifting. No, so Gabriel Lee, this is like the first day that I'm actually talking out of the 7 days because I've just been in bed recovering from this terrible head cold that you can hear. And I'm, as I said on social media, I'm living on Ricola and a prayer right now. But I thought this is the kind of workshop that's very easy to do, just to talk about concepts within design. And so that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to show you some other of my artworks also that go into different design elements as well. Let me put away these paints so I can keep them nice and fresh. Okay, here are some other artworks that bring in various elements of design. So these are pieces that are available. Hey there, Cat Echo. Welcome in over on YouTube. So this piece right here, again, I love using sand medium when I'm doing my artwork because I love the juxtaposition between smooth and rough. So this one had the smooth was resin, so it's very slick, and then you have the black sand medium. This one uses, can you see the white sand medium here? So this one uses white sand medium, and it's breaking up what? A horizon, right? So I'll be showing you some of the principles in when you do landscapes where you're going to want to put that horizon. But what I wanted to do was to break up this line some way. Hey, Shel Marie, welcome in, welcome in. I wanted to break up this line. I didn't want that line between the gold and the blue to be so obvious. So that's why I threw sand medium in there. And you can see, hey, Crazy Chunk Art, welcome in over on Whatnot. I also, over top of the sand, put some of this shimmery, it's actually a liquid oil paint. So you see the shimmer that's on there in order to sort of tie everything together. And then you can see I also helped with the idea of the horizon was by, this is actually silver right where the gold meets it. So I've got gold at the bottom, and then I started with silver and iridescent, like iridescent white, and then brought it up. It just kept adding more blue, 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 blue. Now this one, I actually did the edges as well on that, so you can see that. But this one's done on a wood panel. I like working on the wood panel if I'm going to be working with the sand, even though the sand medium will, it does have flexibility to it. It's certainly better if you put it on wood, so it's less likely to flex. Now, this was actually a, what would you call it, a prototype for a huge one that I did that was sold at a Boys and Girls Clubs auction years ago. So this was the smaller version where I was testing out the concept, and I liked the concept, and then I made one that was huge on a massive wood panel for them. But this uses that concept of having a horizon line, and your horizon can either be low, like this one is, or your horizon can be high up here. There are a couple of ways that you can do that, and I do recommend that when you are in that sort of design phase that you do something called thumbnails, which are little sketches, um, or you do prototypes. Like for instance, before I went to this um, massive wood panel, I wanted to do smaller versions so I would be sure that what I was going to put on that big one was working. So that's a good idea for how to plan ahead. Now, this is another piece. This one is using hot wax paint and caustic wax paint. And what I wanted you to see there was, you see how these are going up and down like this? And then you've got this that goes across here. Now, I didn't go across the middle, notice that would be the middle right there. You get more interest if what? You lower your horizon line, or you put your horizon line higher. So rather than putting your horizon line right through the middle, which would just cut the image in the middle, it's better if you lower the horizon line or bring the horizon line up. As you can see, my favorite is to lower the horizon line. So in this case, that would have been the middle, and I brought it down just that little bit right there so that this almost looks like a lake right here. And so I've got elements going this way and elements going this way. What is this one called? Does it say here? It's inside the back there. All right, and then here's another item that I made. The cool thing about these These are sometimes they're called curvilinear, meaning that you're using some sort of curve within your artwork, as opposed to this one up here, which of course is very rectangular and angular like this, right? With the corners, where this one is very circular. They both work. The circular works as well as the rectangular. And with this one, I created variations and I tried not, I didn't want it to be perfect circles. When you do, say, a mandala, you may want to work with perfect circles. And when you do perfect circles, what can help is to use a compass where you put the point in and then you turn it like this with it normally has a piece of, what is that, graphite in it. And then you can create your various circles and then work off of those circles. Well, here I wanted circles, but I wanted a very organic type of shape to the circles. So here you could see that when you look up closely, the lines I created that then I poured paint into, they're all squiggly. So that's sort of the surprise. When you're standing back here and you're looking at it, it just looks like circles, right? But when you get up close, you can see all these fun little squiggles. So there's something, I like to have unexpected elements in there in my artwork. And so that's one of the things. I have a whole series of these bullseyes. And that's one of the things with the bullseyes is they're not perfect concentric circles. But because they are circles inside circles, it's a very pleasing, kind of shape. So you can't go wrong by doing circles inside circles. All right, let me see. Also, let me show you a grid. So sometimes, yes, you can get very literal and do a grid, and it can look really nice. So this is a set of salt and pepper shakers using, I've shown before on my workshops using the Pebeo porcelain paint. And so this is porcelain paint that I use to create the salt and pepper shakers. And so solid color here, grid up here. Super simple. Now it's organic. You see, I did this by hand. I didn't use a stencil or anything. I drew it out by hand. So the lines are not perfect. That shows it's handmade, right? Oh, thanks for the hearts. But at least it's following a certain kind of pattern called a grid, and it's very effective. I think they're super cute. And then here is a mug that I made, also using the porcelain paints. And what do we have here? We have a line going this way, right? The center of the butterfly goes that way. And then the wings go this way. So what is that doing? That's creating an X. So that's another good way of presenting your design, is seeing if you can get the elements to create that X like that. And so this is very effective as a design because not only does it have like pretty colors and things, but you've got good design elements going as well. And you see how this leaf goes this way, this leaf goes this way, this leaf goes this way. If there was another leaf here, it would go out that way, so that I would use that, this is the center and everything else is this way or this way from there, creating that X, right? Now on the back, I went more geometric. This actually is, what's it called? Chalkboard paint. So you can write somebody's name on there, and or you can write a message. See, because I'm right-handed, and so the way I design this mug is I get to look at this pretty design right here while I'm drinking my coffee, and then I can have a message for somebody on the other side, like Happy Father's Day, or Cup of Joe, or whatever I happen to want to write on there with chalk. But you'll see here, this is we have the rectangle, we have triangles, we have circles. So in this case, oh, thank you, Shell Marie. So in this case, it's very geometric. the effect, right? And so I've got combinations of more than one design type on a piece. That's fine. You can do that too, right? And it can still make it work. All right, let me set those aside. There we go. Because, these, I don't want to knock them over in my enthusiasm because I'm half Italian and my hands get involved when I start painting, right? Now, one last thing I want to show you before getting into the specifics, and that is this one right here. So this is a feather design, and I haven't put all the detail into it yet. I'm going to work back into it with pens and put detail into it. But the reason I wanted to show it to you was you see how it goes like this, and then it goes like this, and then it goes like that. So that is an S curve, or sometimes it can be a Z shape. And so that is a very pleasing, if you have like that kind of motion like that, it can be very pleasing and easy on the eyes. So this, just even though it's just a single element like this, and I haven't even put any detail into it yet, it's still a very pleasing design because of that design element of having that S curve running through it like that. And then of course, okay, I lied, there's one more. Um, And then, of course, there's this piece that I've shown before, and there's just all kinds of stuff going on in here. And let me take it out of the cellophane so that it doesn't hurt your eyes. But I'm going to move you back just a little bit so you can see it better. And so this one, normally when I create a piece, I like to have I like a focal point and then a secondary point. The secondary point is another point of interest. That's most of the time when I'm doing a design, that's what I'm looking for. And so on this one, of course, the dragonfly is the biggest, right? And it's going to draw your attention there. This is using modeling paste with stencils. But then what is this little guy right here? That is a kitty cat postage stamp. Isn't he cute? Oh my goodness, he's so cute. This one's called Loved Ones. I love dragonflies. I don't know about y'all, but I love when it's the time of year when they're flying all over the place. I love the iridescent wings. I just think they're so cool. And so here we have the little kitty on a postage stamp, and then we have the dragonfly. And so they're offsetting each other here at various points of interest within this piece. So besides having a major point of interest and then a secondary point of interest, what you're looking for is to get somebody's eye to go around the piece often, kind of like what's called the Fibonacci spiral. It goes like this. Actually, if you look at the Mona Lisa, she's heavy at the bottom, and then you kind of get a spiral up to her shoulder and around and into her face, and then that little smirk or smile that she has. So something like this, also love dragonflies, right? I know, totally. So something like this too, where you've got some heaviness down here. So you're going to come up here. Of course, this brings heavy attention here. We're going to come across here, and then we're going to start to come back into the painting there. So these are where the heavy elements are, is that curve that comes around. Now, you might say, yeah, but Tristina, what about this area down here where there's like hardly anything? Why did you leave it like that? Well, the reason is because if you look here, there's actually nothing there. There's some of my scribbling and some just fun doodling, some drips, but it's very quiet compared to the rest of the piece, right? And that's called giving your eyes somewhere to rest. So it is okay when you're working in a piece to have a lot going on in one area and an area for your eye to rest in another area. So that's why I'm okay with leaving this. All the excitement over here, which brings you like this, is balanced by the softness of what's going on over here. Um, that's again also true in the Mona Lisa, because when you look off to the distance past her face, so she's sitting like this and it comes up and the spiral goes like this to her face, right? But when you look off to the other shoulder that's back like this, it's a very soft, hardly, barely there, very fuzzy landscape in the background. Why is that? Because it's soft. It's soft. It's there. Um, it does lend some reference to the painting, but it's it's not the focal point of the painting. It just sits there in the background and speaks softly. And hey, that's probably the most famous painting in the world, right? I saw it when I was at the Louvre in Paris a bunch of years ago. Actually, a long time ago, maybe 15 years ago or so. But there's that one. This one is available on Whatnot. If you are on Whatnot, I have, something like 150 or more paintings loaded in the little house at the bottom of the screen. If you go to the Buy Now part of the of the tabs, you will see artworks like it is one in there. And feel free to make an offer if you would like to make an offer to me on any of those artworks for this evening. And if you're over on YouTube and you would like to join us on Whatnot and be able to look through my artworks available for sale and to make offers and to take part in the giveaways that we're going to be doing during the show, then all you have to do on YouTube is scan. Hey there, folks on Whatnot are saying hello to each other. That's awesome. Um, so just if you're on YouTube, just scan what's at the top of the page, or go into the description of the video, and that will bring you over to Whatnot. Now, if you're brand new to Whatnot and you sign up with my link, Whatnot will give you $15 to spend on whatever you want to. Gabriel says we got a good little art community on here. Yes, we do. On Whatnot, we have an awesome art community on Whatnot. All right. Let me go ahead then and start with some of the other materials that I have for you before we go over top of the table and do some fun things. First of all, the J.Paul Getty Museum in Los Angeles, out in California, has something called Understanding Formal Analysis of Art. Isn't that fabulous? So these are free downloads, and when the video is over on YouTube this evening, then when I update the video description, I will add links to this material, because there are several different websites, and this is the J.Paul Getty Museum is one of them. So you will have a link to these resources. So this one from the J.Paul Getty Museum talks about the elements of art. So it says, what are the elements of art? Or what are the building blocks that we as artists use? First of all, of course, is line, which could be straight or it could be curved. I love mark making. As a matter of fact, I have this device here with a charcoal in it that we're going to make a few marks here soon. Then also we have shape. So shape is a closed line. So those circles that I showed you, that is a shape. The rectangle that I have up here, that's a shape. The clock that I have here, in other words, those lines come together to form something, and that's a shape. Now, there are 2D shapes that look flat, and then there are 3D shapes. So what makes something 3D? It's giving it what looks like length, width, and depth. But of course, as an artist, we have to use shadow usually in order to get that kind of impression that something has 3 dimensions to it, right? So we're using our highlight, brightest highlights, and we're using our shadows. And we're putting in a shadow that's relative to another surface so that it makes our artwork appear to be 3D when in fact it's on a 2D surface. Then space is the area between or around objects. We have negative space and we have positive space. And then color, which of course I like to work with a mid-tone. I often will tone my paper with a mid-tone or my canvas. And then it's easier to just put in your darkest darks and then highlight your lightest lights. And so sometimes I do that. But and then of course with color, color mixing is so important. And I did have a previous workshop on color mixing. So I'm not sure if that is still out on whatnot. I'm not sure if that got recorded for YouTube. And if it didn't get recorded for YouTube, well, hey, we'll just do another color mixing video. I'll be doing a lot more videos on color mixing because I know people often have questions about that. And then the last element of art, according to the J.Paul Getty Museum here, is texture. So I like a combination of visual texture in a painting as well as physical texture in a painting. That's why when I showed you this one with my clock tower, there's actually a piece of fabric embedded in there so that when you get up close and you're looking at that painting, you're like, oh my gosh, there's a piece of fabric in there. Yes, so that gives you like physical texture as well as visual texture is created here in the clock tower with the highlighting and the shadowing, all right, to give you different looks. And so that's, you can have something that's, again, totally 2D and flat, but it looks like it has bumps and texture. Or how about people that do water drops? I love those artists that can paint a water drop and it looks exactly like a water drop on a leaf or say sitting on top of a frog or something, and yet it's very smooth and very 2D. Amazes me. And so that's texture, whether it's physical or visual. Now also the J.Paul Getty Museum has these additional elements of design, or what they call principles of design. So there's the principle of balance. So notice the little block with a big block over here and little blocks over here. I just showed you that in this piece right here, right? Where I'm like, oh, I have something super heavy over here. And then I have some smaller elements over here to offset it, okay? So I need more items over on that other side to offset it and bring balance. And then here is emphasis. Now, it looks the same as balance, right? But notice that the block is tilted. It's tilted. So what that means is that you're creating some tension within the artwork by having something that maybe is off a little bit. And which is great. It's great. I love that. I love, creating that tension. But remember, you'd have to have the balance. So if you do have something that has emphasis by not being, like this or this, right? Because the human brain wants to put things into grids. If you do have something that's like off a little bit like that, you just need to be sure that you're balancing it with other items. Now, movement, they say here, and that is creating a path for your eye to move through a painting. So what they have here is they have a little bitty landscape. There's a little bitty landscape. And so it's thinking ahead to how do I want the viewer's eye to go through this piece and then be directed along a story, right? Oftentimes, perspective comes into play there. So perspective means, let's say that I'm walking down a train track and I'm looking off into the distance. The train track doesn't go straight like that, does it? It goes like this. As you get closer to the horizon, it gets closer and closer together. And so that's called perspective. And a lot of times what's good is rows of trees, rows of grasses. You've also got a fence. Fences are amazing for bringing the eye along, maybe along a little road or something, right? To add that interest with, you've got the road going like this, and then you've got the fence coming along it, getting skinnier as it goes off into the distance, right? And so that's all movement that brings people's eye through a painting. Then pattern. All right, I love this one. Pattern, where, you know, what it, you can just do an all over pattern. So you can, that's what's the beautiful with digital art is that, or digitizing your own art. I follow a gentleman on Instagram, Art with James, and he has these super cute, like little candy, you know, those little strawberry candies that are so cute that have like, it looks like a strawberry on the wrapper. Um, you can, he scans his artwork and creates prints, but with something like that, you can do an all over pattern on fabric, or he could even do the all over pattern and create a print with the all over pattern of his little candies. So consider that your artwork may not necessarily need to stand alone. You may be able to scan it in, pull elements out of it, and then um, mirror image and reproduce those images so that you can get a pattern. Now, repetition, it says here, repetition makes it seem like something is in motion. And that's kind of what I was doing with those circles, is I had these different size circles and I made sure the edges were not perfectly round, and that way it added motion to what was there. Proportion. So here you go, little picture here. It's talking about proportion. And with proportion, you don't want everything within your painting to be the same size. If you do, well, you may want like 3 circles and all 3 circles are the same size, let's say. And then the 3 circles intersect each other and each circle is its own color. And then where they intersect maybe is a different, you know, a combination of the colors next to one another. Well, that would work with them all 3 being the same size. That could definitely work. But often you'll find that people like items within, like for instance, if you're doing a landscape, you're not going to make all the trees the same size in a landscape necessarily. You can do whatever you want, right? We're artists, we get to do what we want. But so what adds interest is you have, in order again to help with the perspective, is you have what's close to you is bigger, and then what's farther away is little. And also the color changes as you go out, it gets lighter, right? And then rhythm. So here you can see a rhythm, and the rhythm is, you know, where you have items that appear like they're moving, but you don't want them, well, maybe you do want them to be moving in a way that is jarring, depending on what the subject of your artwork is, right? So you may be creating a rhythm within your artwork that is is off kilter, meaning that you want to create that tension. But sometimes when you reevaluate your work, you go, oh, that's what the problem is. It's, there's not enough rhythm between the movement of my items. And so it's just something to be aware of, to look at. A variety. Here we go here, variety. So it's saying, hey, it can be helpful to grab somebody's attention to use different elements within your artwork. So the sample that they have here has circles, triangles, and squares all in one little sample. So that maybe that's what it is. Maybe you have circles, and within each one of the circles, you have little squares, rectangles, and those are all different colors or something like that. And so that's using variety to grab the buyer's attention. And then unity is the last one right here. So unity is a feeling of harmony among the parts that you have there. So hopefully your parts all feel harmonious together. And this one right here, which is about health, imagine that. Yeah, this is, there's a bunch of different inserts and boxes and things I collaged on there for of Chinese medicine. So this piece is about health, and so I kept it kind of in the red and the yellow are very typical Chinese colors when you would go to a temple, because I've been to many temples in Asia. And then the green here, like this little skeleton leaf, of course, it speaks to the whole concept of herbal health and or herbal healing. And so this whole piece has that unity in message and unity in content, so that it makes sense when you're educated about the piece and you find out the name of the piece and then you get a chance to come and look closely at the piece, then you go, oh, okay, it all ties together. There's some unity there. And actually, some people have asked me, do I come up with names for artwork before I paint? And a lot of artists do that because they want to have a concept in their head before they move forward with their artwork as to where it's going. And then, so they pick the name first. I pick the name after the piece is done. And then I look at the piece as a whole, so holistically. And then I decide what that piece means to me holistically after the piece is finished. All right, so those are from the J.Paul Getty Museum, and I will have links to them after the workshop is over. I will put them into the description in the YouTube video. All right. Now there's another very wonderful website called Empty Easel. So here, emptyeasel.com. And they have this beautiful illustration, not these little lines, but the big one right here. And so this is to help you determine your points of interest within your artwork there, like I was talking about before. So of course it can be either used this way. Hey there, homeschool treasure. Welcome in, welcome in. It can either be used this way or it can be used this way. I'm going to hold it right there for a second if you want to take a picture, but remember that in the description of the YouTube video, I will put a link to this website here that has some incredible articles for artists. And so one of the articles, of course, is about this exact subject because us artists are always looking to learn more. And so what they suggest is that you take a dot or a line from each corner of your rectangle like this, and then halfway from the middle point to the end, that's a point of interest right there. So these are your possible points of interest. And remember I said when I do a piece, I have a primary point of interest and then a secondary point of interest. So I would lay my points of interest on these spots. Now that is one way of looking at it here, but another way is called the rule of thirds, which a lot of people know about. And so you divide your paper into thirds like this. So you see the skinny lines that I put in there with a pencil, and then where those intersect, which is almost at exactly the same place as these points of interest, where those intersect, then those are also places where you can put your points of interest. So I actually, especially when I'm teaching in a workshop somewhere, I almost always just use the rule of thirds, boop, boop, just like that. And then we put little circles in those dots and we're like, okay, now your painting may develop as you're working on it. And what you think is your main point of interest when you start may turn out to be your secondary point of interest, or you may end up just covering it all up with paint and making one of these other areas here a point of interest for your artwork. So it's, the paintings develop a mind of their own, right? Now, this is also from the same website and from the same article. And what's cool is they're showing you this artist here. What's her name? Carolyn Anderson. And then this is a painting that she did here. And then they're showing with the X and then the points of interest. So you see right here, there's a big point of interest here, and of course up here. Okay. I like to put my main point of interest and my secondary point of interest across from each other. That's the way I like to do it, but you do you. Now here's J.M.W. Turner, so very famous artist. This is a sailboat on a tumultuous sea, but there again, if you look here and the circle where it intersects here, these are the points of interest, and you'll see how this water goes like this, and we've got the boat over here. Now that is the rule of thirds. And here is the golden mean, or what some people call the golden section. So you might not recognize it like this, which is 1, that's this section right here, 1 to 1.618 here. Okay. You might have seen it like this. That's what I was talking about earlier with the Fibonacci spiral. This is exactly the same thing, where it's 1 to 1.618 here. And I'm going to show you how they got that. Hold on one second. So again, this is on emptyeasel.com. So they took a square, they split the square in half evenly. Then they took that distance right there from corner to corner of 1/2, and they bloop, dropped it down. You see there? Same length there. And then they just drew a line up here, and that was your golden mean. So you don't have to worry about how the heck to get it. Just kind of have this in mind. And my favorite is to have the spiral in mind, the Fibonacci spiral. Now, you might recognize this because if you look on the inside of a nautilus shell, you are going to see this shape, right? You're going to see this shape, and within this shape, you're going to see a whole bunch of little chambers in there, right? And that's because that is a natural, very organic shape in nature. You find it quite often. But, mathematicians had to figure it out that it was the golden mean, and that's 1 to 1.618. Okay. You don't have to get quite that crazy. Here is a piece of artwork. I love these Japanese wood block prints of Mount Fuji and the waves, right? Oh my gosh. Again, this is from emptyeasel.com. Okay. And so notice you can drop your golden mean in there, your golden section with your Fibonacci spiral. And there you go. So you can see how and see all this space over here? You're balancing it. This has to be balanced somehow. So you're balancing it with this quiet space in that piece. Okay, here we go with Mona Lisa. Here's Mona Lisa. There's our Fibonacci spiral coming up over the shoulder, up into the face, keeping you right here, right? And look at how soft the background is here, right? It's not that there's no background, it's just that the background is secondary and your eye is kept on the subject. But notice that there's more of her over here than there is over here, right? They've got her turned, her shoulder turned, so that you're a little heavier here as you come up to the portrait. So that is a trick often that not only portrait artists, but also photographers you'll find. It's called cheat to camera. My daughter was an actor, and so they would be like cheat to camera, and she'd be like, right? She'd turn your shoulders slightly so that you're a little broader this way. Instead of being straight on like that, you're actually, it gives more interest. And then you turn your head just that little bit, and that gives you a more interesting photograph or a more interesting portrait that way. Okay. All right. And then the last thing that also has to do with the Fibonacci spiral or the golden mean is, who's familiar with Mondrian? Mondrian. I love Mondrian's art. So this is Mondrian's style here. See, they call it Mondrian style Fibonacci art. So it's using the same golden mean concept with all these little squares. And then this is actually a project I found online, and it's good for kids. It shows kids how to fill those in with those primary colors and learn about the golden mean and the Fibonacci spiral all at one time. Isn't that fun? But that's what makes the Mondrian designs work, is using those various elements of design of the golden mean. All right, now, that's so fun. Now, I wanted to introduce you to an artist that I love his YouTube videos. Well, let's get a drink. I love his YouTube videos. His name is Robert Burridge, and he has resources for artists, which is fabulous. One of the resources that he has is he has this chart that I had hanging in my art studio when I used to have a big studio in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And so this is talking about 12 design compositions. So we've got what's called cruciform. That means that you've got something that intersects somewhere like this. And the beautiful thing is he shows you some examples. So I highly, highly recommend that you go to robertburridge.com, and I will put the link to this in my YouTube video description, okay? So he has these beautiful resources here. He has other courses and things as well. But I loved having this up in the studio because you can just look up and refer to it at a glance, look at your work, bring it up to the wall, compare it to what's going on over here. What he does in most of his examples is he'll show you a representational, like for instance here, and then he'll show you an abstract that is following along with that particular design element or design characteristic. And which is great because some people, like I'm very abstract, so the abstract makes a lot of sense to me. I'm not always representational, although I can be representational. But this helps a lot. Notice right there is the golden mean. So again, you have your primary and then your secondary possibilities there. And then he shows you some examples of that. All right, there. And then this is another one that I like a lot, which is tension. So you've got something big here and something little here. And then notice how he connected them together somehow so that they're not disjointed. They need to somehow refer to one another. And then you've got diagonals, you've got horizontal. Let's see, this one is like frames, they're called, or blocks, right? Curvilinear. So that's the curves and the circles. This one is L-shaped, so you see how you have some going this way and some going that way, but not exactly like the cruciform here. This is, again, tension, right? Where it looks like something is going to fall over. You see the beautiful bird there. So that has tension in it. And then this is spiritual. So spiritual is very ethereal. Do you see in the background here where this looks like there's a soft haze shining through the trees? right? Here, there's softness all around here, which offsets this part right here. So I love having this on the wall and having it available for me to reference. And then this is also one of my favorite things from him. I have both the wall version and somewhere in my studio here, I have the like carry travel version, but this is colors. So remember that I had mentioned earlier from J.Paul Getty, they said color is an important part of your design elements and aesthetic as well. And so, especially when you're starting out, it can be helpful to limit the number of colors that you use in a piece until you're familiar with the various elements of design. So what I like about Robert Burridge's color wheel, which is different from a normal one, let me show you a regular color wheel. So here is a regular color wheel, which I've shown you all many times, or what they sometimes call a color computer, right? This has a lot more options for various color combinations. But when you're first starting out, let's keep it simple, sister. And so this, Bob Burridge's color wheel, I think is excellent for people who are new to painting. Heck, I use it all the time too. So if you get stuck in your colors, you go, okay, I need to rein it in here. Then I can take a look here and make some decisions about color in my piece. So what he suggests is a primary color. By primary, I mean the main color of your piece. And then you have your offset color, which is going to be a small area within your piece. And then you have your spice colors here. So for instance, if I'm on orange, then what color is this? Like blue, green? No, just blue. Okay. So if I'm on orange, most of the artwork is going to be orange. So let me see if there's one down here that's like that. No. Okay, let's take this one then, yellow. Okay. So if I'm on yellow as the primary color of the artwork, this is purple blue. Okay. So if I look here, this one's mostly yellow. My spice color is going to be this like purple red and this teal, and then this purple blue will be your other main color. So you see the purple blue up in there, and then you've got a tiny bit of teal, and you have a little bit of this sort of purpley red as a spice color right here. So he does show you in some examples here how to use some of the various combinations. Now this is very abstracted, which is what I love because I tend toward abstract painting. But you can also apply the same four color concept to something that's realistic as well. And I love using this color wheel because it's so simple. Thank you, Bob Burridge. But I will be sure to link it in the video description on YouTube when the video is over, okay? So let's go ahead. We're going to go over top of the table, and we are going to play with a couple of combinations here. Let's see. Let me figure out which ones we want to use. And so what I'm going to do is bring you over top of the table, and then we will start working on some of my favorite papers. And we're going to start out by doing some principles of design using collage. So this is my favorite Canson XL watercolor paper. Love this paper. It is absolutely my workhorse. And what we're going to do first is do what are called thumbnails. So if you're not familiar with a thumbnail, actually I'm going to use a Sharpie right now so that you can see it. Makes it a little bit easier for you to see, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Sharpie and I'm just going to make some blocks here. Well, I'm not doing design elements. I'm going to do little blocks, and we're going to do some collage. Actually, I'm just going to do this, and then we'll do this, and then we'll do this. Okay? So we've got a couple of little blocks that we can build some designs in. And, oops. Okay, come back here. Hold on. My Sharpie decided to take a wander. Okay, so now what I want to do here is I want to do some collage. So I'm going to move this out of the way for now. And I'm going to take some, this is mixed media black paper. My favorite is to use black tissue paper, but I'm out of black tissue paper. So we are going to use black mixed media paper. And we're just going to randomly cut some shapes. Okay. So let me do a little triangle like that. And some little blocks. How about a big block? We'll do a bigger block. So the idea is don't think, just have some fun. Cut different types of shapes out of here. Ooh, I want circles, don't I? I also want like circles, so you don't have to be too precise when you're doing this. You could actually tear it out too. I like to do lots of tearing. Ooh, what about these little pieces like this? So whenever you go into your studio and like, I don't know what to do today. Do this. It's fun. And it'll give you some ideas, because the idea is just to have a good time and not be hard on yourself, and maybe create something fabulous that gives you a jumping off point for something else, right? Plus, you know how when you were a kid, you loved to do stuff like this? They gave you a pair of blunt scissors, but they said, here you go, you can, play with that. Who didn't love given that responsibility as a kid, right? Now here's one where I'm going to cut it in half, so I have, half moons there, right? And then I have some more really cool shapes. Love that. Let's do a few more rectangles here. How about a few more squares? Okay. Like that, right? So we're going to create some random shapes to start with. And then, oh, I like that. It looks like a little mountain. Okay. So we're going to start with that. And we're going to develop some ideas on here. Now, you don't have to use paper like this. You could just draw. So for instance, let's do the first one. This is charcoal right here. And it's a vine charcoal. So usually if I'm using vine charcoal, instead of using watercolor paper, I'll use some pastel paper, which I don't happen to have handy. That's why I wanted to use the paper. But here, we'll do this. Let's say that I want to do something that's curvilinear. So I can just start with some ideas like this, right? It's okay to go off the page. Now, what if I do something like this with that one? And that's kind of fun because I'm combining, what am I doing? I'm combining circles and lines, right? And I've got big and I've got little. And I'm just using charcoal. I love charcoal because it gets the idea across quickly. Another cool thing about charcoal is that you can get shadows very quickly and easily. So I'm going to use a paper towel so my fingers don't get too dirty. But if you put your finger with a paper towel, you can do this and get kind of a gray, right? So now instead of being black, it's gray. And if I want to do a shadow, I can do a shadow real quick like that with charcoal. That's why I love charcoal. Okay, we're going to do this right here. Okay, so it's kind of anchoring those into the background, right? Instead of having them float. And before they were looking like they were floating in the universe, weren't they? Like planets or something. Well, now they look like they are anchored to the surface. Okay, so that's using charcoal. And but if you're not comfortable drawing, you may be more comfortable doing collage, which is the way I am. I'm more comfortable doing collage. So let's start with, for this exercise, I'm using Bindex or I'm using gel medium. Okay, so gel medium, this is a matte gel medium. This is Pebio's Bindex. They are both an acrylic medium. Okay, it even says right here, acrylic mediums. And so all it is acrylic with no pigment in it, your acrylic base. Okay, so for thicker, I like the gel for thicker papers like this. But if I'm using thinner papers like tissue, which we're going to use in a minute, like this, then I use the Bindex is better with the tissue. Okay, so let's take something here. Ooh, I like this piece because it's not, see how it's not even? I love that. Okay, so we're going to put some of the gel medium on the bottom of it. It doesn't matter if gel medium gets on your background either, because you can just, it'll dry clear. Okay, let's create some tension over here by having it look like an um, upside down pyramid, right? Okay, and then let's take this circle. It's okay to have circles together with upside down pyramids. But like I said, the idea is to experiment and see out of these experimentations what are your favorites that come out of it. Now, what I'm noticing right now is that these two elements are what? Approximately the same size, right? Hey, Annie Z, welcome in over on Whatnot. So because they're approximately the same size, that's kind of boring. So I'm going to need to add other elements that are either larger or smaller. And what I can do here is I can add gel medium directly onto the surface like that. And then I can put this on here. That looks a little more interesting. Okay, you can kind of see where this might have come from here. So they relate to each other. And then let's do like a rectangle here and another here. Okay, we're getting closer to something interesting there, right? I like the way this sticks down right here into that area. Now I'm going to repeat. I'm going to get another little square because I can see. I'm like, okay, we've got one here, one here. I'm going to slap another one right down here, and then this one will be complete because I will have repeated a particular pattern, right? Okay, there we go. So now what I've got is I've got 1, 2, 3 little pieces, and then these. So I would consider that one for right now done. And the idea is that you want to play with these various elements like this to see what you get. All right, let's see. I want to put this one kind of in the middle, but it's sort of shaped like a trapezoid. It's interesting. Okay, there we go. Let's put that one in the middle. And then what can we do around it? Ooh, I like this. Okay, see how we have the half circle? So let's take the half circle and put it on here. So it's not in the middle, it's part way up. Nice. All right. And then this came from one of these circles. So let's see if maybe I can put this down in the corner. Will it speak to the whole thing there? Maybe. But this is exactly how you play with elements to get a feel for how they might look with one another when you're working with abstracts. Now I can do exactly the same thing with shapes that look like trees and a road and a river or anything like that. Flowers. I can cut out the pieces to look like those elements and then put them down into my frame area in order to get a feel for how does that look together. Ooh, I like this. I like this right here. So you see how I'm putting plenty of gel medium down on here. Let's do this so it goes up above there. Why not? So what I'm showing you right now is more of an abstracted type of play, right? But as I say, if you want to do a floral, if you want to do a something that's more of a landscape, cut out design elements that speak to that, and then design your elements that way. Now this, I think, is still a little bit wet. Yeah, so I'm going to separate it because I actually want a line in between there. Let me show you. I didn't want it looking solid. I wanted a line. Okay, so I think you get the idea there. So I'm not going to finish the rest of these. You could do these yourself at home. But let's actually do a, let's, instead of using the black and white, let's use some of the tissue paper. So now you can look at your color scheme. So let me look at the goof proof color wheel here. And what do we have? If I have blue as the dominant color, there's blue. Then I'm going to have some orange here as the offset color, and some purple, some green. Okay, so that gives me some ideas for colors. So I've got blue. Let me go ahead and take some of this blue tissue right here. Now, since I'm going to use tissue at this point, I'm going to go ahead and break out the Bindex. Now, what I'm giving away today is Bindex. So if you want some of this Bindex, I'm going to show you how to use it right now. I have two of them to give away, so I will give away one of them as soon as I show you how I use it. And then another one at the end of the demonstration. So this is tissue, which means it's very delicate, right? And what I like with tissue, these other papers that I was using, it was a mixed media paper, so it was heavy. It was thick, right? It has some body to it. So what I'm going to do now, though, is this is very thin and it can tear very easily. So what I'm using gel medium, like I just was here, the matte gel medium, it's a thicker version of acrylic paint. Now this, the Bindex, is a thinner version, more like a hand cream consistency. And what I'm going to do is I can either use the palette knife, or I think for this example, I'll use a brush. Why not? Why not? Not one of my good watercolor brushes. No, no, no. Okay, let me take this one, an angle brush, and I'm just going to pull some of it right out of there. And similar to what I was doing here, I'm just going to put some out here. But what you'll notice when you use Bindex is that it's thinner. It's thinner than the gel medium. So let's take this, and I will put that there. And yes, I usually cover the back and the top like this. So let me get a little bit more here. Okay, there we go. So that was my blue. Now I could probably tear this right off of here. Ooh. Doesn't matter if I get, because we are just playing right now, right? So some of this was coming up. There we go. So there's my majority blue, right? So now my focal point is going to be orange to go with the blue. So I have some orange here. And what am I going to do? I'm going to do this. Just for fun, I'm going to add some texture to it. Okay, let's do this. Let's kind of get this all gross. Let's do this. Yes, I'm going to get it all over me, but it's going to be fun. There we go. So I'm going to actually create a little bit of texture out of it. So there we go. There's some orange, right? Because the blue and orange are opposite each other on the color wheel. So they actually look nice next to each other, but they form mud when you mix one into the other. Okay, if you were using paint, blue paint and orange paint, if you put the two together, you're going to get brown. But in an exercise like this, we can use orange on top of blue and it looks great. Okay, so we want some green, yellow. That would be something like this. So let's tear some of this out and maybe we'll have little pieces of it. So I'm actually just going to put some more on there. Don't be afraid to use your medium. Bob Burridge always like slaps tons of it on there. It's okay, really, it's okay. Okay, so there's some of that green. There's some more of that green right there. We'll overlap it with the orange a little bit. And then we'll put another piece over here. And then what was the other spicy color? Purple red. So let's find the purple red. Ooh, do I have a purple? Yeah, here's a purpley. It's just a darker blue. Okay, well, we'll have to live with that. I don't have like a purple. Ooh, but I have red. What the heck? We'll just use red. We'll use red and pink, and we'll hope that they combine to give us the color we're looking for, right? Okay, so we're going to put a little bit of pink down here, like this. And then we'll put a little bit of red over top of it. There we go. And now, of course, I'm going to have to bring up more of that orange because I just covered a whole bunch of it. But that's okay. I have plenty. So let's do this. Let's get it wet. Let's mush it. Let's put some more back on top there. So now we got some layering going on. All right, cool. So that's the concept of using 4 colors to build different combinations of colors. What if we use this orange as our primary color? There we go. We'll do the orange as the majority there. All right, let's look at this again. Hey, Salmon's girl. I see she says, I'm late. That's all right. You are good. You're good. So if the dominant color is orange, our focal point color is going to be blue, and I get to use purple and green. But of course, like I said, I don't have purple right now. I do have green. So there's a spicy color right there, green. All right. There's green. Okay, purple is red and blue together, right? Let's see if we can make an optical illusion of purple by putting these two together. I think we can. Okay, let's do this. We'll put some blue on there. We'll put some red over top of the blue, and that'll create purple. Okay. We'll put some more purple over, or more blue over here. And so now we're beginning to get, I actually like what's going on. I like what's going on down over here because we have a lot here and a little here. Now, what did Bob Burridge show when he did this, what he calls cantilever, that's having something big over here and something small over here. Often he would do something to bring the two together. So what are we going to do to bring the two together? We will take a piece of green, since there's barely any green in there. Let's take some green. Ooh, let's do this instead. What if I have a green? Tie them together, exactly, crazy John Cart. So this is an Inktense pencil, and so it's going to have let's see what happens. Yeah, why not? Let me just get it started going, and then nope, it's just going to tear. Okay, it's not. You know what? It's not juicy enough, but you know what is juicy enough? Oh, I know it's juicy enough. All right, y'all. The Woodies. Y'all remember the Woodies? Oh, I just love my Woodies, but I have to grab a green one. So hang on. Let's find the green one. Come on, Woodies. You got this. You got this. Okay, here's a green one. Let's see if I get it started. And then I just do this. Yes! Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Because I'm nutso, that's why. Right? That's only 4. In Asian painting, everything should be in odd numbers. So that's only 4 scribbles. So now what am I going to do? One more, 5 scribbles. Okay, there we go. So that just brought those pieces together by connecting them somehow. Do you see that there now? Oh, that was fun. So now they're tied together. But I highly encourage you to do something like this. Make sure you have some purple, okay? Make sure you have purple tissue. I didn't have any purple tissue. I just have this dark, dark, dark blue. So I had to combine the red and the blue to kind of get a visual purple. But you'll have more fun if you have actual purple. But you want to have a whole bunch of different colors of the tissue paper, and then you want to use the Bindex in order to do that. So let me go ahead and give away one of the Bindexes right here. So let's go to, oh, thanks for the hearts. So if you are over on YouTube and you would like to participate in the giveaway, this is the Bindex. That's the thinner gel medium, or it's not a gel medium, it's Bindex medium, but it is an acrylic medium, and it lets you do the work with thin papers like these tissues without it. Well, it can tear, but they go down much better with the thinner medium here. So let me go to giveaway. And we are going to do giveaway number 1. We are running the giveaway. So if you are on YouTube and you'd like to participate in the giveaway, it is running. So go ahead and use the QR code on YouTube, or go into the description in YouTube. And if you're in the description, click to the link and you'll be brought over to the show and you can participate in the giveaway. Okay, so we're giving away the Bindex. Give it away. Not this size of Bindex. I was going through some of my Asian chests and I'm like, oh, you know what? I have a bunch of these. Let me give some away so other people can enjoy it. All right. So what else? Let me go ahead and let's do a piece like these. These are so much fun. You're going to fall in love with doing this process. So much fun. Okay. So let's take this and we're going to, let me just do this with my, this is a Conti crayon, it's called. And so it is just a square crayon. I'm gonna eyeball it, and I'm gonna do this. And so that's 1/3, 1/3. I'm eyeballing it. All right. And then I'm gonna eyeball 1/3 here. And I'm gonna eyeball 1/3 here. Okay. So what does that mean? That means that our points of interest in a piece of work are gonna be here, 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 right? So one of those 4 points is going to become my primary point of interest. So you see there, the circles. And then another one of these is going to become my secondary point of interest. I do this when I'm going to do collages because it just reminds me as a start kind of where I want to go. But I like to use charcoal or Conte or a watercolor crayon like I was just using here, because if I make a mistake or I don't want it there, I can just lift it right off or I just cover it right up. So I don't worry about it. All right, here we go. Ricola break, right? Woohoo! Got to do it. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with, let me see, hold on a second. Yellow, 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 yellow. Okay, I'm going to start with yellow in the background. Why not? We have it, right? We have this tissue paper. Why not use it? Okay, here we go. So, yes, it's crazy, but it works. Here we are. So let's just do this. The nice thing with the tissue is these lines will show through. And one thing I want to tell you is do not be afraid to use your product, all right? So, tissue. I think that my, hold on. My earbuds just stopped working. So let me turn off my air conditioning so you don't have to hear it. And let me charge up my earbuds. There we go. But you should still be able to hear me clearly now that I turned the air conditioner on. But anyway, okay, here we go. Like I said, if you watch any of Bob Burridge's videos, and I will have him linked in the description of the YouTube video, he has a bucket of water next to him, and he uses lots of sloppy gel medium, and he just really gets into it. Because you know what? When you're painting in acrylics, like I'm doing right here, acrylics and paper, it's just another layer, y'all. It's just another layer. Let's put this over top of here. So that's a quick way to make your background yellow, huh? That only took 2 seconds. Okay, here we go. There are some areas here, like where it's tearing, but I'm just having fun and creating a background, so I am not worried about it. There we go, right over top. Okay, now what I'm going to do here to make it more workable is I'm just going to cut this off. And what ends up happening is after my artwork is done or dried overnight, that I just cut these little extra bits off. Although I don't always cut the extra bits off, sometimes they become part of the artwork. Why not? Okay. That was a nice quick way to get a yellow background. All right. So using Bob Burridge's chart, if yellow is my primary color, then let's see what I can find here in my, ta-da! These are my crazy junk art. Thank you, thank you. Oh, you're welcome. Congrats, congrats, congrats. You won that one. Woohoo! Okay. Now, the opposite of yellow on the color wheel is purple. When you combine the two colors together, when you color mix them together, they create brown. But if you put them next to one another, they look nice. They resonate with one another. So I have some purple here. And then I have this beautiful kind of aqua color that I made. So I'm going to put that down here. Just, I'm doing a little bit of layout. See? And these I've shown, if you've been with me before, these are bins that I just have miscellaneous papers in, right? My favorite papers when I do a collage workshop, then these go on the various tables for, these are just from salads, right? I save them. And then this is what I use for my students. And they can just peruse through here and pull out the various papers. Ooh, that's a nice looking paper, isn't it? You see that design? Yes. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to show you how I start my collages. Well, here's some pretty paper. That is a marbled, that's some marbled paper that I had. So that's nice, soft, and subtle. So, all right. Ah, this is still a little wet, but it doesn't matter. Do I want this whole thing in here? Let's see, what if I put this here with the greens, and then I put that right there, right? And then I put this. That is so pretty. But I may end up covering a bunch of it up with that, right? No, that's good. That's good. So this is exactly what I do when I'm laying out a piece of artwork, is I might paint the background and then come in here and use various pieces like this in order to build a collage. Ooh, I love that piece. Okay, so let's do this. Let's start out with those. And let's see here. So then I disassemble it. This beautiful paper came from Salmon's Girl, this music. So if you don't follow Salmon's Girl on Whatnot, I highly recommend you go follow her. Now, again, I'm going to use the Bindex because this is a very thin paper. So I'm just going to put a bunch of this here. And there we go. Right over top. There we go. And then that's going to go right. Oh, that's so pretty. Just like that. Now this is mulberry paper that I did some marbling on. So it's kind of translucent, beauteous. And then I'm going to put some more here. Usually I use a big one of these that looks like this. Like that. Okay. I just happened to grab the smaller one. Okay, let's put this here. This is a paper that I handmade. I actually show, I have an article on my website how I hand make my papers like this. Okay. And then we're going to put the music up here. The music is a very delicate paper, so using Bindex is perfect for that. I think Salmon's Girl, if you're still in the chat, I think you got yourself some Bindex as well, right? Did you win it or did you go out and buy it? I can't remember. But this music is from Salmon's Girl. And I love how the edges are all torn. All right. Ooh, see, I'm tearing some of the tissue as I'm going, but I'm not worried about it, right? Because we're going to put more on there. Okay. I'll bring this one right here. Good, good, good. So some people ask me, do I always put medium over top as well as underneath my papers? And the answer is no, I don't always put medium on top. Sometimes I want whatever the finish of the paper is to show. So I will save an element for the end. And then when I put it down, I do not put medium on top. Okay. But when I'm building my initial layers, yes, I put the medium on the bottom and on the top. Yay. Oh, loving it. Okay. Can you all see that? Okay. let me make sure that you're getting it. You're getting it. There you go. So we started with that yellow background, and then we have green, and we have blue. Here's some more of the blue right here. Let's see, where do I want that? Right in here. There's a focal point circle right here, so maybe I will put it somewhere in this area. And then that way I can put a focal point maybe on top of it. So you might be asking, well, what would the focal point be then? Since right now I'm building a background, and a focal point could be a postage stamp. So I have available in my Buy It Now, how does the Bindex differ from Hodgepodge? Excellent question. Okay, thank you for your question, Annie Z. In Florida, where I am, I have found that Mod Podge can stay sticky, and because of the way that it dries, the humidity here, and so I choose to use a professional grade acrylic. And so that's what something like this Liquitex, it says Liquitex Professional Acrylic Mediums. This is the Pebeo Studio Acrylics Mediums. So that's why I use those. But let me tell you what, if you have Hodgepodge at home already, use it. Use it, use it, use it. It's, to me, it's about having fun, enjoying the process, and using what you have. Right? But the next time you go to buy some, then my recommendation is if you go to my website, which is, Annie Z, you're in Tampa. Good. You know what you can do? You can just go over to Blick Art Supply in Tampa. And they have, I don't think that they have this in store. They might have that in store. They definitely have it on their website at dickblick.com. But they will have something like this in the store, which is the gel medium. And but the Bindex, okay, let me show you the difference here on my hand between a regular gel medium and the Bindex, okay? So the regular gel medium, see how it's holding sort of a curl there? Can you see that? It holds the curl like that. And then the Bindex is more like hand cream. I've tried both and prefer matte medium. Yes, I agree. Me too. I like the gel mediums and the Bindex better. So now the Bindex, what you're going to see is it's not holding that peak. It doesn't give you that like beep. Instead, it's very creamy, I say like a French hand cream because Pebeo is a French company. But this one's a little stiffer, and this one's much creamier. So it's just that the interesting thing is that when I do collage, I want something that's an acrylic medium, but sometimes with my more delicate papers, the gel medium sometimes is a little too stiff and it can cause them to tear. So that's when I find I need to use the Bindex instead. And the Bindex comes in gloss and in matte, just like your gel mediums come in gloss and in matte. Yes, soft peaks versus hard peaks. Exactly. Just like like when you're what's that called? When you're whipping eggs, right? To make meringue. Is it a soft peak or a hard peak? Yes, absolutely. Now, this is just screaming at me that it definitely wants to be used. So sometimes I tear, but because all these edges are cut, I'm just going to cut right here, like that. And so where are we going to put this one? Where are we going to put it? Ooh, right there. Right there. Yes? No? Up there? Maybe overlapping that just a little bit. Just a little bit. So maybe I'll put a focal point right there to have that. Okay. Good. I'm glad that you're excited to try the Bindex Crazy Junk Art. Yeah, you're going to, it's just another tool in the toolbox. You know what I mean? That's what I find. If I'm doing tea bags or I'm doing these delicate old papers, I like to use the Bindex. And then of course, when you're doing something that needs to be, you need a lot more strength, then you use the gel mediums. Come on, you can do it. There you go. I just love that. I've been waiting to use that piece of paper. Right? Okay, so in my shop, oh, before we go to that, this is really cute, and there's some orange here and some orange here. So where am I going to put you? I think I'm going to put you like right here. We'll put you right there. Nope, got to bring it down here. Sorry. I'm making decisions on the fly. Let's do some gel medium because this papers that I'm holding in my hands a little thicker. So I want to use the gel medium instead of the Bindex to hold it in place, okay? There we go. Oh, cute. Cute. Okay, so there we go. Now, if you go to my buy now and you type in the word supplies on Whatnot, you're going to find some of these special paper supplies. One of them is called a scrap pack. So this is a fine art paper scrap pack like that. And so that is available to purchase. Also, these are used tea bags. And this is where I was saying they're very delicate. And so to put them in to my artwork here, I'll use one. What I like to do is draw on them first and then put them in. So I'll show you. But you can, yes, I drink lots of tea, my sister-in-law and I, and then I have bags that I empty out periodically, and then I have tea bags available for you. And then I also have some of this Asian called Joss paper. Now, of the Asian Joss papers, these papers are not always like the color. When you use gel medium, when you get them wet, especially this one, the color can run. So just be aware of that. But this is ceremonial Asian papers, and you get a big, huge pack of that. And then postage stamps. So you can get a postage stamp pack that looks like this. I love the scrap pack I bought. Oh, good. I use it in my special pieces. Good, crazy junk art. I'm glad. So I have a big collection of international, domestic and international postage stamps. And so you receive a pack like this that has over 20 postage stamps in it. And I use postage stamps a lot in my artwork. So for instance, ooh, that's a nice looking one that matches all the same colors, doesn't it? That's a combination of what's that called? The Concord and a dirigible. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? So maybe that'll go right there. Oftentimes I'll use multiples on a piece. Like maybe I'll put another one up there. No, that one gets lost. See how I have to sit here and audition them to see what's going to work. Oh, this one's kind of cool because it has a bunch of, look at this, in the blue and the orange, Washington, right? Now, notice that on those postage stamps, Washington is looking that way, George Washington, right? So I don't want him to take your eye off the page. Instead, what I want you to do is I want you to look into the page. So I'm going to move Washington, George Washington, to this side since he's looking that way, right? So I'm going to move him over here. And we'll start with that. And then I can always add more and more later. All right. Let me put the postage stamps away. And so George Washington is, this is a thicker paper that the George Washington stamps are on. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to add the gel medium, the thicker of the two, onto the back here. Whoop. There we go.
It doesn't matter if you end up with gel medium all over your artwork, because you can go back over top of it later with other paints and markers and things, and play and get that all, everything talking to each other. Okay, so you probably can't see it, so I'm going to bring it up close to you. But Washington is almost on that 1/3 line right there. So do you see underneath there? There's a little orange line right there. That's the 1/3. And of course, if you go across here, the intersection is right about there. So you've got George Washington sitting on one of those intersections, bringing interest into your piece. Now, here's one of the tea bags. And what I'm going to do with it, first of all, is I'm going to draw a little something on it before I put it in. So what am I going to use to draw on it with? I'm going to use a permanent marker. So let me get hold on a second. This is a palette, right? I'm going to put that there. And then let me use a marker. So my favorite markers are these Micron pens. So there's the Micron pen. And when the video is over, in the description of the YouTube video, I will have these links to these products, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw on here. I love these permanent markers on here. So you can draw whatever you want to draw on these. I'm just drawing a funky flower for the heck of it. But sometimes I take my time and I'll do mushrooms, or I have a couple of them that I did these beautiful beetles, and then I painted over the tea bags with acrylic paints. Okay, so we've got more of these, but you can design your tea bags however you like. Okay, that's fun. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is you just give that 1 second in order to be able to dry. And then the cool thing is you can just put this right down into your artwork. Let's do it there. And I'm going to use the Mindex because what is a tea bag? Okay. So let's do this. And then I'm going to put the tea bag there. And then I'm going to do that. Nice. See how quick and easy the tea bag went down? Awesome. And so now I've got a little handmade design element in there. Can you see that? I was using a small marker, not a thick one, so it's not always. Oh yeah, you can see it. I see in the replay there. Okay. So I am going to finish this off camera. This was just my opportunity to show you how I design something, how I use elements of design, and then start building my collages, but I also build paintings this way as well, where I'm bearing in mind as I'm using it, where are my points of interest? What are my color combinations? You know, how can I tie things together as I'm working on it? I've got dark blue here. I've got orange here and orange here and orange here. I've got my yellow background. I have some, light blue. So these are some various colors that I'm going to keep working on and bringing in with some of my my woodies, for instance. Actually, I have this beautiful woody right here. Let me go ahead and what if I put some lines on here? Ooh, what if I put some, I'll repeat. Remember how I said I really like the design that was on here? So why not repeat that over here? Now, while this is wet, You don't see the marker too well. It's better when it's dry, but it's there. It is there. There's some lines there. It came together so beautifully. You made it look effortless. Ah, crazy junk art. Thank you very much. Well, it's taken me years. It's funny because I'll be teaching students in a workshop and I'll do something like this. And they're like, yours looks so good. And mine doesn't even, and I'm like, yeah, I've been doing it for 20 years. So I love collage. That's my favorite thing to do. And so I have made I've made probably 1,000 collages in my lifetime. So I just love making collages. All right. So that, though, is going to conclude the workshop part of the show.